showed kindness and helped a victim. Not realizing this kindness will soon come to hunt him down. Welcome back to Paramount Recapped. I don't have many subscribers, but your single comment is a ray of hope to motivate me. The story kicks off with a pretty intense scene out in the open country. You've got these three rough-looking guys, all dressed up in sheriff uniforms, hot on the trail of another man who's clearly running for his life. They're not just after him for fun. One of them pulls out a gun and shoots the poor guy in the leg, making sure he can't run any further. He drops to the ground, crawling and helpless, while they start circling him like wolves. These aren't your average lawmen either. First, there's Stillwell, a Mexican tracker who's got a sharp eye and knows how to read trails like a book. Then you've got Dugan. He's the kind of guy who talks big, loses his temper fast, and acts like he's better than everyone else. But the real piece of work in the group is Ketchum. This guy, straight up cruel. He's the type that doesn't just hurt people, he enjoys it. You could tell by the way he treated that wounded man earlier. Not only did he stomp on the guy when he was already down, he even tied a rope around the man's neck and dragged him along the ground. Real nasty behavior. So what are they chasing this man for? Turns out, he and someone else had something valuable, something the three fake sheriffs desperately want back. Ketchum, being his usual brutal self, gets the guy to spill the beans. Even though the man begs and pleads for his life, Ketchum doesn't care. He calmly walks over and strangles him without blinking. Just another day for him, apparently. Meanwhile, we switch scenes and meet an older man named Henry. He's been living a quiet life working on his farm ever since his wife passed away from tuberculosis a decade ago. Since then, it's been just him and his young son, Wyatt. You can tell Henry was a loving husband. His wife's grave is neat and clean, showing he still honors her memory. Henry isn't totally alone, though. His brother-in-law, Al, lives not too far away and drops by now and then. One day, after Al heads home, Henry and Wyatt notice a horse wandering by itself through the fields. No rider, just the horse. That's never a good sign. They follow it and find blood on the saddle, meaning whoever was riding it got hurt and probably didn't make it far. Wyatt wants to come along, but Henry, being the protective dad he is, tells the boy to stay put and heads out by himself to follow the trail. Eventually, Henry finds a man lying out in the middle of nowhere. He's clearly been shot, but by some miracle, he's still breathing. Henry's first instinct is to walk away. He doesn't want to get involved in something dangerous, but then he notices a bag full of cash lying next to the guy. It's tempting, sure, but Henry's not that kind of man. He can't just leave someone to die, even if it could bring trouble. So he decides to help. He hides the trail as best he can to make it harder for anyone to follow, then hauls the man onto his horse and takes him home. Once they're back at the farm, Henry gets Wyatt to help him patch the guy up. He's worried, though. The amount of money and the gunshot wound make it pretty clear that this man didn't just trip and fall. Someone's after him. And Henry's guess is dead on. That same trio, Ketchum, Stillwell, and Dugan, are on the hunt, looking for this exact man. The next day, since the stranger still hasn't come to, Henry decides to play it safe. He ties the man's hands to the bed, just in case he wakes up aggressive. Henry tells Wyatt to keep an eye on him while he heads back out to check the place where he found him. Henry doesn't know who he's dealing with yet, and he's not about to take chances with his son in the house. Now Wyatt, being a curious and headstrong kid, disobeys one big rule Henry laid down: no guns. While Henry's gone, Wyatt sneaks out the old revolver his dad keeps hidden and starts practicing his shooting behind the house. He wants to be ready in case things go south. Meanwhile, the wounded stranger finally stirs. His name? Curry. But before we find out much about him, we get a glimpse into his haunted past through a terrifying dream. As a kid, he watched a man get gunned down, and the memory of the man's last words, "Keep your head up, you'll be fine," still lingers in his mind like an old scar that won't fade. Back in real time, Henry's out near the spot where he found Curry. He spots the three fake lawmen again, and instead of rushing in like a fool, he hides and watches. Turns out, Henry's no slouch. He might be a farmer now, but the man knows how to stay low and undetected. He crawls through tall grass and keeps a close eye on the trio. Stillwell, the tracker, notices signs that someone had come through and even remarks on how carefully the tracks were covered. Whoever did, it wasn't just some random drifter. They knew what they were doing. Back at the farm, Curry wakes up properly and realizes he's in an unfamiliar place. Scared and confused, he gets himself loose and grabs a knife. Wyatt tries to calm him down, but Curry holds the blade out, warning the boy not to move. Tension fills the room. Curry's not trying to hurt anyone. He's just trying to survive. Eventually, Curry comes clean. He says he's actually a sheriff himself, not a criminal. According to him, the three guys chasing him are the real crooks. They're pretending to be lawmen while they go around robbing and killing. Curry warns that if they show up, they'll kill anyone who gets in their way. Henry hears all this and knows they don't have much time. Sure enough, before they could do anything else, the trio shows up right outside Henry's home. Everything gets quiet. Henry grabs his gun and tells Wyatt to stay away from the windows, to stay safe no matter what. Now, you'd expect Ketchum to kick the door down or shoot first and ask questions later, but this time he plays it smooth. He knocks politely and acts like a respectable sheriff. He tells Henry they're hunting a criminal who goes by the name Curry, claims he stole a pile of cash and needs to be brought in. Ketchum lies through his teeth, saying he and his crew are just doing their job. Henry, with his gun quietly at the ready, keeps his cool. He lies right back, saying he hasn't seen anyone matching that description and that he's just a simple farmer who wants no trouble. After a tense moment, the three men buy it, or at least pretend to. They leave without causing a scene. While Ketchum and his two shady buddies took a break nearby, they chatted about that old farmer, Henry, the one they just met. Ketchum pointed out something strange. Henry didn't hold that shotgun like your average farm guy. It was more like the way trained gunslingers grip their weapons. Right then, they figured it out. Henry had lied, and that Curry fellow was definitely hiding out in his place. Since they were waiting on backup to show up and help catch Curry, Ketchum told Dugan to hang back and keep an eye on the house. He warned him not to pull any stunts or rush him like an idiot. But of course, Dugan wasn't exactly the patient type. Meanwhile, back at Henry's house, the old man was trying to figure out whether Curry was telling the truth about being a sheriff. Curry gave him this whole backstory, saying he was born in a little New Mexico town called Fort Sumar. That name rang a bell for Henry. It was the same place where Billy the Kid, that infamous outlaw, got gunned down. Turns out, Billy wasn't just a myth after all. He was real, and according to Curry, he'd killed a bunch of folks, nearly 30, for no reason at all. Even crazier, Curry said he actually saw Billy die with his own eyes. That nightmare Curry kept having, that was a memory. He'd seen Billy the Kid take a bullet to the chest and drop dead. Hearing all that, Henry decided maybe Curry was telling the truth. So, he untied him and gave him the benefit of the doubt. But peace didn't last long. Gunshots suddenly cracked through the air. Dugan had gone rogue. Henry had no choice but to grab his shotgun and protect his son and home. For just some aging farmer, he handled the situation like a pro. Calm as ever, he waited for Dugan to sneak closer. Just as the guy tried to crawl into the house, Henry got the upper hand. Dugan surrendered, terrified, but Henry wasn't the forgiving type. Without saying much, he shoved Dugan's head into some muddy water, holding it there until he stopped breathing. Then, like it was just another chore, he dragged the body out to the barn and fed it to his pigs. Next morning, Ketchum and Stillwell headed over to Henry's brother-in-law Al's place. They want to know who this Henry guy really was. Al, being loyal, kept his mouth shut. That only made things worse. They beat him so badly he couldn't even stand. Back at Henry's place, Curry warned the old man and his son. He said they should leave before things got uglier. Ketchum wouldn't forgive them for killing Dugan, and he sure wouldn't go easy on them. But just as Henry and Wyatt were thinking about heading out, they saw trouble coming. Ketchum and a small army of riders were approaching, all looking ready to tear the place down. Ketchum didn't come alone. Stillwell was with him, dragging along poor Al, who looked like he'd been used as a punching bag. Seeing that mess, Henry snapped. No way he was just going to stand there and let these guys do whatever they wanted. Henry told Wyatt to grab a gun and keep his eyes open. Then he walked outside, acting cool and calm, and tried to negotiate. Ketchum, on the other hand, wasn't interested in talking anymore. He shot Al right there in front of them, killing him instantly. That's when all hell broke loose. Wyatt, shocked and angry, stepped out with his gun ready. Bullets flew everywhere. Henry ran back into the house and told Wyatt something that sounded oddly familiar. "Keep your head down. You'll be okay." Curry, who overheard that, froze. He'd heard those exact words before, from Billy the Kid, back when he was a kid himself. That's when it hit him. Henry wasn't just some farmer. He was Billy the Kid, the outlaw legend himself. While chaos raged on, Henry calmly stepped outside with his hands up. But that was just a distraction. The moment the goons lowered their guard, Henry went to work. In a flash, he pulled his gun and dropped most of Ketchum's crew before they could even react. The guy could shoot faster than anyone alive, and he didn't miss. Those he didn't shoot, he finished off with a knife or an axe, slipping through the chaos like he'd done it 1,000 times before. One by one, Ketchum's men fell, until only Stillwell was left. The guy looked like he'd seen a ghost. Freaked out and alone, he took off running. But Henry was already waiting for him outside. Stillwell tried to act like he was giving up, but Henry wasn't fooled. Just when Henry thought it was over, a gunshot rang out. Ketchum was still alive. Turns out, Henry's bullet had only grazed his face. What followed was a wild chase through the woods. But in the end, Ketchum was no match for a legend. He ran out of bullets and was forced to face the truth. Henry, or Billy the Kid, still had the edge. Henry didn't hesitate. He finished him for good. Once everything was said and done, Henry made it back home. Wyatt was okay, and so was Curry, at least physically. But then came the twist. As Henry tried to patch up Curry's wound, he noticed a strange scar on his arm. Something didn't sit right. After taking a closer look, the truth clicked into place. That scar was a mark, a symbol of a secret deal Curry had made with Ketchum's gang. Curry really was a sheriff, but he'd gone dirty. Greedy for money, he joined forces with the others to rob a stash and then pretended to be the victim. He'd let them chase him, planning to double-cross them all and keep the loot for himself. But the worst part? Curry had known who Henry was from the beginning. As a kid, he'd watched Billy the Kid murder his parents. So now, all grown up and wearing a badge, Curry had made it his mission to kill Billy and earn some kind of twisted glory. Even after everything Henry had done to help him, Curry turned on him. He aimed his gun, hoping to put an end to a legend. But before he could pull the trigger, Wyatt stepped in. Without hesitation, he shot Curry dead. Henry, bleeding and tired, knew his time was up. He looked at Wyatt and gave him some final advice. He told his son to take care of himself and not to listen to the stories people would spread once they found out the truth about him. There'd be gossip, rumors, maybe even books written about the infamous Billy the Kid. But Henry didn't want Wyatt believing any of it. After burying his father beside his mother, Wyatt packed up and left. The only home he'd ever known was behind him now. With no reason to stay, he rode off, hoping to figure out who he really was, and maybe leave behind the legacy of guns, blood, and legends that followed the name Billy the Kid. And that's a wrap. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more content. If you have any thoughts or questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below. I love hearing from you. Until next time, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.